The absolute most dangerous misconception in real estate is treating a commercial closing as a scaled-up residential deal. The standard residential settlement pipeline is engineered for high-volume, linear predictability. Uniform files move repeatedly from contract to closing. But drop a complex commercial file into that system, and anomalies immediately jam the mechanics. The workflow breaks down, and the timeline stalls. This failure happens because standard processing models are built to pass complications down the line for someone else to figure out. In commercial real estate, massive anomalies are the baseline. Forcing a commercial deal through a non-specialized settlement operation creates severe delays. Worse, it exposes the legal integrity of the entire transaction to failure. Securing a commercial transaction requires a different approach, a closing partner armed with true legal depth from the first day of the file. Legal depth is the preemptive, attorney-led review of a property's hidden mechanics. Two real estate attorneys review the work and handle complications directly, rather than passing them along. Every commercial deal is supported by 4 pillars, where the greatest risks hide: physical surveys, entity authority, tax timelines, and escrow security. Standard processors scan only the surface layer, ignoring the deep, intricate root systems where legal landmines set. True legal depth reverse engineers the transaction through all 4 of these pillars. The goal is to verify the deal will survive a post-closing lawsuit, long after the ink dries at the settlement table. The first pillar of risk lies in the physical reality of the property itself. An ALTA NSPS survey overlaid on a satellite grid maps the exact intersection of physical structures and legal rights. A close review reveals conflicts, like an easement cutting directly through the building's footprint. Additionally, mechanics liens or UCC fixture filings severely cloud title on essential equipment. A standard title review looking purely at the vesting deed is completely blind to these physical intersections. Resolving them requires an attorney-led process, cross-referencing the survey with zoning laws, active leases, and estoppels to guarantee utility and access rights. You must read the whole picture, merging the physical survey with the legal record. Otherwise, you cannot guarantee the property can be legally used for its intended commercial purpose. From the physical land, we move to the invisible structures that own it, corporate entities. If the specific human sitting at the closing table lacks verified legal authority, the entire multi-million-dollar transfer is voidable. A commercial seller is a complex entity structure, an LLC managed by a partnership, owned by a trust. Clearing title means tracing authority from high-level documents down to the deed. If an internal resolution is missing, the chain breaks and signature authority vanishes. Fixing this requires meticulous legal depth, reviewing bylaws, analyzing operating agreements, and confirming good standing across all jurisdictions involved. Failing to do so sets up the ultimate nightmare scenario, a closed deal challenged a year later by a partner who claims they never authorized the sale. Rigorous entity verification provides the essential structural armor that defends a completed transfer against future ownership lawsuits. The third pillar of commercial risk introduces an extreme, unforgiving element of time pressure into the mechanics of the transaction. 1031 tax-deferred exchanges are dictated by strict statutory deadlines. Those deadlines live and die by the calendar. This timeline shows a 1031 exchange. Closing mechanics for forward and reverse exchanges must be perfectly engineered to fit this rigid window. Unhandled complications create friction. Any delay expands the process, threatening to push the timeline past the absolute statutory deadline. To prevent a collision, precise coordination with the qualified intermediary is necessary to ensure paperwork and funds move exactly as the exchange requires. The closing attorney works alongside the intermediary and accountant as the mechanical executor, ensuring the transaction adheres precisely to instructions. The stakes are absolute. In a 1031 tax-deferred exchange, missing a statutory deadline completely destroys the client's entire financial strategy and tax position. Finally, we must address the sheer volume of capital moving at the culmination of a commercial file. Large commercial wire transfers attract the most sophisticated, determined fraud vectors in the world. Standard residential habits, like accepting surprise email instructions or changing wire details online, create massive vulnerabilities. Capital of this magnitude requires a highly defensive posture. Funds must be held in escrow, protections built explicitly for commercial-scale targets. This requires manual, unhackable verification, verifying every wire instruction by phone and confirming receiving names directly with the bank. The final hurdle involves reconciling complex multi-party disbursements before a single dollar is allowed to move. Securing a multi-million-dollar commercial wire requires protocol rigor that standard processing models simply cannot provide. A successful deal turns on accurate surveys, ironclad authority, strict timelines, and secure escrow. With a specialized partner, this mechanism operates smoothly. Push a complex file through a residential system, and pieces misalign. This framework covers jurisdictions across Virginia and West Virginia. It supports every class of commercial property, from industrial warehouses and data centers to retail buildings and SBA-financed acquisitions. Achieving this level of seamless integration requires an independent, specialized closing partner. True legal depth means complications are handled and resolved internally. You receive straight answers on the issues deciding your deal, rather than having problems passed back to your desk. For commercial brokers, your reputation and your next file depend on how you handle this one. A trusted closing partnership is earned through legal depth and a clean execution, not through affiliated business arrangements or referral fees. You deserve the peace of mind that comes from a highly complex commercial transaction, executing perfectly, and closing completely clean. Run your complicated files by an attorney-led closing team early in the process. Give your commercial deals the legal depth they require. Ensure the transaction closes clean and stays closed permanently.